Congresswoman, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you on such an important night. So obviously, Venezuelan exiles, freedom lovers around the world are elated at this news. What are you hearing from your constituents?
Listen, thank you for the opportunity. And there are no words to describe the joy. People are in the streets singing, and they're crying for joy, for hope. And there's just one person that they have to thank, and I want to send that message again on behalf of the Venezuelans that we represent in South Florida. I represent hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans, and they are with President Trump, and they are going to be eternally indebted to his leadership. And because, as I said previously, he had the political pants, he had the internal fortitude, he had the desire to take the risk and to put America first. Because when you liberate Venezuela, you are basically putting this country first. Not necessarily the Venezuelans, which obviously they're going to benefit, but the fact that we are going to be able to have a free continent, a free Western Hemisphere, from the Tren de Aragua, from the Cartel de Soles, from this type of thugs. It only takes a very special leader, and I'm repeating it to you. I mean, you're part of his family. The Venezuelans don't have enough words of gratitude to thank him for what he did.
No, it's absolutely incredible. It doesn't sound like, though, that the opposition leader, Maria Machado, is the person who President Trump thinks will actually go on to lead Venezuela. So what happens next, in your view? Who actually does ultimately take over that leadership role?
Well, look, President Trump, as he said it, he is in the business of not occupying, but restoring. He said it clearly. He wants safe, clear, transformation and a transformation of the society, and for the Venezuelans to decide at the end who wants to govern, who do they want to govern them. So I do believe that President Trump is now, this is very new, that everything is going in transition right now, that he wants to create a platform for that opposition, for Maria Corina, for Eduardo, for Edmundo Gonzalez, those people who won the election. But that election was tried to be rigged by Maduro. But now it's a new dawn. And now what we need to do is the American forces are going to provide the platform for the Venezuelans to decide how they're going to run the elections, when are the elections going to be, what type of transition they want to be part of. But the important part is that the United States and our armed forces created that possibility of having the free society, the civil society in Venezuela, to determine who is going to free and fair elections and who is going to govern them from now on. And something else that I think that we should definitely reemphasize and say it again is that they don't need charity from anybody. They have the largest reserves of oil in the world, and they're going to be able to pay for their own reconstruction. And the American companies are going to be there, and we deserve to be there. And to create American jobs, to create the possibility of having cheap oil. So it's an abundance of different externalities and effects that are going to be very good for the average American person that sometimes asks us and says, well, why do we need to care about Venezuela? Well, it's an America first agenda. If it's the proximity of what happens in the Western Hemisphere is so close to us that we feel it first. And that's why Tren de Aragua, and that's why the drugs being imported from Venezuela.
Yeah, well, this was a loud and clear message to a lot of folks, and especially you heard from President Trump and Secretary Rubio today that the rest of that region better fall in line. Take a listen to this.
I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about, because Cuba is a failing nation right now, very badly failing nation, and we want to help the people.
You know, when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. So suffice it to say, you know, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men. Yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit.
So, Congresswoman, what do you hope to see from this administration in places like Cuba and Colombia? What do you hope we see happen there?
Well, these are two different scenarios, but, you know, Marco Rubio, just like myself, you know, I'm the proud congresswoman for Marco. He is my constituent. We come from the same group, Cuban Americans, first generation, parents of political refugees. We understand so well what's happening in Venezuela, what's happening in Cuba, and what the Venezuelans and the Cubans want. And that's why this is a new dawn, because this new leadership, America's back. President Trump is showing to the rest of the hemisphere and to the rest of the world that you cannot be messing around with the United States. And on top of that, the Cubans, the average Cuban and the average Venezuelan wants to see the Americans be there, be present. You will see that in Venezuela, people are going, which is what happened in Panama when I was a journalist, and it happens to be that Noriega was removed a January 3rd, like today. So this is a date that is going to fall in history as a glorious day for the United States. The Panamanians and the Cubans, I mean, they were clapping of the Marines. So the average viewer needs to understand that this is the welcoming force, the American force in the hemisphere. And the same thing is going to happen in Cuba. Marco knows Cuba very well. I represent the largest Cuban exile community in the country. And we know that no more oil, Venezuelan oil to the Cubans, and that the Cubans understand that they're going to be next for the benefit of the average American as well. So it's a glorious day, and we are very happy. I mean, finally, the forces of good are winning, and we're bringing prosperity, love, and liberty to these people, the United States.
All good things. All good things. Well, Congresswoman Maria Salazar, we are so appreciative of your time. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.